Ni modo. Voy a empezar. Gracias, Janecita, eres una muy compacta. Gracias, Rafa.
¿Tienes al 10? Ya, pues empezar.
Ya voy a empezar. Y es que te juro que a mí Vera se me había dicho, Perito, Pero bueno, voy a empezar a ver si sí. Hi, my dear kids. Hello. How are you? I hope that you're fine. Please let me know in the chat if you can listen to me in order I can continue. Please, my dear kids, tell me if everything is fine and if you can listen to me. Please let me know if you can listen. Gracias, profe Rafa. Gracias. No, aquí tengo. No es necesario. Gracias, Rafa. Te agradezco mucho. Gracias, Rafa. No, ya con que me contesten mis niños, ya me da indicación. Sí. Gracias, Rafa. So, hello. Please let me know, my dear kids. Just let me know if everything is fine. Good morning. I hope all of you are fine. And let me tell you, well, let me ask you and apologize. I want to apologize with you. Thank you, Miguelan. I want to apologize with you because I was not with you yesterday. I wasn't with you yesterday in the class. Let me check because I was a little sick and it was not possible for me to be here with you. I'm so sorry, my dear kids, but now I'm here in order we can continue working. We can continue doing everything that it's supposed that we have to do. So thank you very much for your patience. And I know that yesterday the principal sent you a message. El director mandó un mensaje in order to tell you that you didn't have any activity for yesterday, okay? So don't worry, don't do the pages of yesterday. It's not necessary for you. If you have already answered them, thank you very much. But if you didn't, don't worry, because we are going to answer those pages in the mid-session. So don't worry, my dear kids, about these pages. We are going to answer them, yes, of course. So don't worry about that, okay? And today we are going to check a topic that is pretty similar from the one of yesterday. I mean, it's just a little change related to the topic of yesterday from the one that we are going to check today. Actually, if you check your classroom, both of them said the same topic, but the second one, the one of today, has a little, thank you, my dear Edgar, Kenia, Lina, Andreita, and Miguel. Thank you, my dear kids, for answering. If you check both days, it says present perfect, but the only change from yesterday to today, it says present perfect with ever. Okay, so can anybody please tell me if you know when do we use the present perfect, my dear kids? Please, can you tell me which is the use from the present perfect, please? Can you tell me that? A little bit, if you can't, please remind me or tell me when do we use the present perfect? Do you remember that information or you don't remember anything about that? If you don't remember, don't worry, no problem. But we are going to check that information today, and I read you, or I read your comments, I read your ideas. If you can tell me, please, what is the present perfect related to? I'm so sorry, I just checking something in here that a person want to come a little bit, my dear kids, just a little bit. I'm going to disappear a little bit. Okay, so do you remember, my dear kids? I listen to you. I read you. If you can tell me when do we use I don't remember. Don't worry, my dear Lina. Don't worry, my dear girl. Well, I'm going to remind you, okay? The present perfect is going to be a tense that we use in order to talk about actions that that we did in the past, but that we don't have the, let me check, that we don't have the, a little bit, my dear kids, that we don't have the, sorry, it's because I am kind of crazy, that we don't have the specific moment that it happened. We know that it happened in the past, but we don't have the security, or we don't know the specific moment that it happened, my dear kids. Okay, and that is one. The second one, or the second use, is that is also the present perfect is used in order to talk about actions that began in the past, but they have a relationship, or they have they have a relationship with the present, or you began them in the past and you continue doing this activity in the present. That is the present perfect use for. Okay, so let me check in this for you a little bit, my dear kids. And the is, for example, I say in the case of the present perfect, my dear kids, we are going to use verbs in past participle. Do you remember that most of the verbs in English, they have three tenses? They have the present simple, the past simple, and the simple past participle, or the past participle. Okay, these are going to be the three tenses of the verbs: present, past, and past participle. Or they, in some books, they say verbs one, verbs two, or verbs three. Present perfect is the simple present is the one, the past simple is the number two, and the past participle is the number three. And you have already learned them in elementary school. Go, went, gone. Swim, swam, swum. So can you write in the chat some participle verbs that maybe you can remember? Please, my dear kids, some participle verbs that you can remember. Okay, please, my dear kids. And in here it says present perfect simple with ever and never. And today is April 28, 2001. Okay, my dear kids, please let me know. Let me know. Okay. And in here we have that ever is going to be used, the ever is going to be used in the questions, okay? Have you, in this case, the auxiliary, in order to make affirmative ideas, negative ideas, interrogative ideas in the present perfect, is going to be the auxiliary verb have, has, okay? Remember that has is going to be for third person, and have is going to be for first person or third person, but of the plural. I mean, he, she, it are going to be working with has, and I, you, we, and they are going to be working with the rest, okay, with have. In this case, I'm going to say, have you gone to England? Gone is the past participle, okay? Have you ever, in this case, ever. Ever is going to have the meaning of alguna vez, okay? So let me read in here the comments, my dear kids. So you say don't remember. Edgar says, a situation that happened in the past and is happening now. Okay, yes, it can be, my dear Edgar, an action that you began in the past, but that you continue doing in the present. Donovan, we use that when we do something in the past and we continue doing it. Excellent, Donovan. Kenya, we used to talk about experiences. Also that, Kenya, we use the present perfect also to talk about experiences. Something that you have done that maybe somebody else hasn't, okay? Miguelon Quintana says, eaten, run, excellent, Miguelon. Luis Adair, B was were being, excellent, Adair. Sebas, sorry for the delay. Okay, don't worry, Sebas, but try to be on time, my dear boy. Okay, so those are correct. If I say, for example, the verb have is the present, had is the past, and had also represents the past participle. Okay, so I was telling you that ever is going to be used just for question, my dear kids. Have you ever gone to England? ¿Alguna vez has ido a Inglaterra? Have you ever eaten maguey worms? ¿Alguna vez has comido gusanos de maguey? Have you ever danced in Bellas Artes? ¿Alguna vez has bailado en Bellas Artes? So remember that the past participle verbs, my dear kids, are going to have the meaning in Spanish or the ending. The ending in Spanish, ado, ido, tosocho, comido, corrido, jugado, estudiado, nadado, hecho. Have you done your homework yet? ¿Ya hiciste la tarea? Understood? Well, okay, yes, Marie, understood. Miguelon Quintana, drunk. That is correct, my dear boy. Okay, so these are going to be the verbs that we are going to use, the past participle ones, and today we are going to check the ever. When we use ever, we are talking about experiences. When you use ever, you are asking for the people if they have had that experience. Cuando tú utilizas ever en la pregunta, le estás dando un indicativo a la gente de que quieres que hablen de su experiencia, si es que alguna vez han realizado esa acción o no. Written, spoken, broken, excellent, pretty good, Marie. And when you answer questions with ever, it says in there, ever means all the time. We can use ever in question and goes between the verb have and the past participle verb. Okay, examples. Have you ever played basketball? Nobody has ever heard of this book. Nadie nunca ha escuchado de este libro. This is the first time I have ever eaten Italian pizza. Esta es la primera vez que yo he comido pizza italiana. Have you ever been to an opera? Okay. Have you ever been to an opera? So in this case, we are going to use, let me check. Well, I'm remembering to this. We are going to use ever in the book. Listen to me. In the book that we are working right now, it uses the ever just in the question. Can you use it in affirmative or negative ideas? Yes, of course you can. But in this case, in the unit number 12, that is the one that we are working, it doesn't say in there that we have to use ever. Why not? Because instead of ever in affirmative or negative ideas, we are going to use adverbs of frequency, my dear kids. Which are the adverbs of frequency? Can you write in the chat, please, if you remember one adverb of frequency that you can remember and write it in your notebook, in your chat, please, my dear kids? Can you make me the big favor to write in the chat? Sí. Es que no sé si me están hablando, pero estoy en clase. Gracias, Rafa. No sé si es a mí o a la otra Virito. So, gracias, Rafael, es un amor con patas. Sí, también yo dije, ¿a quién será? Gracias, Rafa. Sorry, it's because I listened to my name, pero, and I was asking if it was for me or for somebody else, but it was not for me. and the teacher Rafa was helping me. Okay, so I am here, and I was telling you, my dear kids, that in order to work with this topic, we are going to use the adverbs of frequency. Do you remember the adverbs of frequency? Can anybody write for me one adverb of frequency? Okay, yes. Miguelón, rarely, never, sometimes. Excellent, Miguelón, perfect. Those are the adverbs of frequency. Are the words that help us to say how often do you, or the frequency that you do something. Okay, those are correct. Miguelón has already written rarely, never, sometimes. We have in there also usually, always, okay, once in a month, maybe twice in a week, okay. So the ever is the one that we were saying. Yes, Miguelon, thank you very much. So in this case, we are going to use, in order to give positive or negative ideas, we are going to use the adverbs of frequency. Okay, so if I ask you, Miguelon, have you ever flown by plane? Miguelon Quintana, can you answer to me, my dear? Miguelon, have you ever flown by plane? Mari Valentina, this question is for you, Mari Valentina. Have you ever danced ballet? This is for you, Mari. Have you ever danced ballet? Misael, this is for you, Misael. Have you ever written a poem? Misael, have you ever written a poem? Let's say, Sebas, have you ever seen a big spider in your bedroom? Okay. Adair, this question is for you, my dear boy. Adair, have you ever driven a car? Have you ever driven a car, Luis Adair? Kenya, this is for you, my dear girl. Kenya, have you ever visited a museum? Have you ever visited a museum? Donovan, this is for you, my dear boy. Have you ever gone to Japan? Okay. Donovan, have you ever gone to Japan? Edgar, have you ever told a lie to your mommy? Have you ever told a lie to your mommy? Lina, have you ever have you ever, Lina, copied in an exam? Have you ever copied in an exam? Let's continue with Andreita. Andreita Valentina, have you ever seen a horror movie? Watch it, sorry. Have you ever watched a horror movie, Andreita? Miguel Salvador, have you ever drunk beer? Let's say, Miguel Pineda, have you ever drunk beer? Dana Pau, have you ever bought a pink dress? Dana Pau, have you ever bought a pink dress? Danny Priest, have you ever seen a ghost? Danny Priest, have you ever seen a ghost? Socrates, have you ever, Socrates, kissed a dog? Okay. Socrates, have you ever kissed a dog? Edgar, Joshua, have you ever traveled by train? Have you ever traveled by train? Aranza, have you ever copied the homework of a partner? Okay. Maria Gaitan, have you ever have you ever eaten maguey worms? Mari, have you ever eaten maguey worms? Sophie, have you ever seen, I don't know, let me check. Have you ever seen an UFO, an ovni? Okay, Sophie. Pedro, have you ever had a girlfriend, Pedro? Have you ever had a girlfriend? Patricio, have you ever read a thick book? Cameron. Cameron, have you ever visited Chapultepec? Cameron, have you ever visited Chapultepec, Cameron? So I have already asked a question to all of you. I'm going to wait for your answer, my dear kids. And it says, being born, beaten. Okay, Luisa Ade has already written a lot of verbs in past participle. Thank you, my dear Adair. And Miguel Quintana. No, Miguel, I'm going to tell you something, my dear boy. Now I have already forgotten. Now I have already forgotten all the questions that I did because they were a lot of, and they were different. So please, Miguel, make me the big favor to answer your complete answer. Which is a complete, because yes, I have is correct. Yes, of course, is correct. But I now need the long answer. Yes, I have gone to England. Yes, I have flown a plane. Yes, I have driven a car. No, I haven't eaten maguey worms. Complete answer, please, my dear Miguelón Quintana. Maria Valentina. Well, in here, Marie, your answer is incomplete, my dear, because remember that present perfect means that you have to write always the auxiliary have, always. Have in the case of the affirmative, haven't in the case of the negative, my dear girl. So correct your idea. In this case, well, never, that is something pretty important. Never is a negative word, right? So you have to say, I have never danced ballet. Is haven't, never, no, because haven't is negative and never is negative, they can be together. But you can say, I have never danced ballet. Misael. In this case, my dear Misael, the verb remember that is in past participle, my dear boy. So yes, I have written one. But in this case, I know that my question for you was if you have ever written a poem. So you are going to write, yes, I have written a poem. Please, my dear Misa. Donovan, the same, my dear. Please write the correct and complete answer because we did a lot of questions. So I need you, please, and all the questions were different. So I need your complete answer, all of you, please, my dear kids. Donovan, because I don't remember the question, my dear boy, for you. Luisa, I have, in the same in there, my dear. I have never driven, because driven doesn't exist, is driven. D-R-I-V-E-N. I have never driven a car. Kenya, yes, I have visited a museum. Excellent answer, my dear Kenya. Edgar, yes, I have lied to my mom, but just once. Okay, thank you. Pretty good answer. Well, pretty good because all the grammar was perfect. Thank you, Edgar. Miguelón Pineda, no, I have, remember, I have never drunk beer. Excellent, Miguelón. I have never, okay? Let me check. Then it says, yes, teacher, I have, my dear Lina, I have copied, but it was a long time ago. Don't worry, it was just a question. Don't worry, my dear girl. I'm not going to call your mommy and say, a mommy of Lina? Well, let me tell you, of course not. This is just an example, my dear girl. Okay, so thank you for your honesty. Yes, teacher, I have copied. Correct your idea, please. Andrea, yes, I have watched a horror movie. Excellent, Andreita. Dana Pau, no, I haven't, but no, I haven't what? A complete answer, please. Adair, why you play that face? Adair, Sophia, no, I haven't. The same, my dear kids. Complete answer. Joshua, no, I have, no, my dear boy. No, just correct your idea because remember that I have already said that it's not possible to have or to write haven't plus never together. No, because both of them express something or a negative idea. So if you use never, it's going to be have. I have never. Okay, or I haven't gone. So I have never No, I have never danced ballet. Thank you, Mari. Miguelon Quintana, yes, I have traveled by plane. Excellent, my dear Miguelon. Um, then it says, no, I haven't traveled to Japan. Excellent. Just I have a question in there because the two partners who have written in here travel is not with double L, my dear kids. It's travel plus the ed, so it's not double L. Okay, my dear kids, it's just travel with one L. Um, So Donovan, I haven't traveled by plane to Japan. No, you wrote Donovan. No, I haven't traveled to Japan. That is correct, but when you have the answer, the question, my dear Donovan, with ever, you need to write adverbs, my dear boy. So it has to be never. No, I have never. Okay, my dear Donovan? No, I haven't. Okay, my Sophie, it's just missing for you the apostrophe, my dear girl, between the N and the T. No, I have never. And remember that here is never. I have never seen an UFO. Excellent. Socrates. Yes, I have kissed my dog, but not in the morning. Ah, yes, of course. The most of the time we kiss our pets or in the head, no? In the head. Yeah, in their head. Yes, thank you, Socrates. Misael. Yes, I have written a poem. Excellent, Misa. Lina. Yes, teacher. Sorry. Yes, I have copied in an exam. Thank you, Lina. Dana. Yes, I have. I have, my dear. But both. Both. Bought. Okay? Be careful, my dear, with the spelling of the verb, Dana Pau. Yes, I have bought a pink dress. Excellent, Miguelon. Thank you for the correction to your partner, Joshua. I have never traveled by train. Remember, my dear Edgar, that when we talk about transportation meanings, cuando hablamos de medios de transporte, my dear boy, we always say by train, by car, by plane. The only difference, or the only ones that are different is when you say on foot, a pie, voy a pie. But the most of the time, when you use transportation meanings, are going to be with by train, by car, by boat, by ship, by, okay? I have never seen an UFO, Sophie. An UFO, because you begin the other word with a vowel, okay, my dear girl? Yes, I have ever had. Okay, my dear Pedro, remember, my dear boy, that I said in here, affirmative, negative, or interrogative form, my dear boy, we are going to use verbs in past participle. So in this case is, yes, I have ever had. That is the past participle of the verbs. A girlfriend. Oy, Pedro. Okay, then about both. Yes, be careful with the words. Okay, now in here, in the imagine that I have already presented for you, it says fill in never or ever. Remember, pretty easy. Ever is going to be, in this case, just for questions. In the book that we are working right now, it says that it's going to be for questions, and never is going to be obviously for ideas, for sentences, or for answers. Okay, so it says fill in never or ever in the correct place. Number one, I have been to London. Which is the correct word in there? Tell me which is the correct idea in there, my dear kids. I mean, the question or the ideas are incomplete. We have to complete them with never or ever. Pedro, yes, I have ever had. Excellent, my dear Pedro. Because remember, and just in order to remember some of the verbs, at the back of the workbook, I always tell you, at the back of the workbook, you have a list of irregular verbs, and in there you have them in present, in past, and in past participle, my dear kids. Okay? Present, past, and past participle. Just tell me number one and number two, number three. That's all, and we finish in order you can prepare for your next class, and you can begin with the answers of the pages of today, my dear kids. So please tell me which is the answer for the number one, two, and three. That's all. please. And we finish, my dear kids. Please let me know. 1, 2, and 3. Do you have them? And tell me in the chat if you have any question related to the present perfect. Tomorrow we are going to continue a little bit with this, but tell me right now if there is a question, my dear kids, or if everything is fine. Please let me know if everything is fine or you have a doubt. Please, my dear kids, tell me. Questions? I need two things, or to tell me that no questions, or to give me an answer of the number 1, 2, and 3. Miguel Quintana, no questions. Andreita, if I have hasn't, the verb also, always, my dear Andreita, always. The verb is never going to change. It doesn't matter if it is affirmative, negative, interrogative, have or has, the verb is going to be always in past participle, my dear Andreita. Always. That is the easy part of the present perfect, that you never have to change the verb. The verb is going to be, have you gone to England? Yes, I have gone to England. No, I have never gone to England. Has Patty gone to England? Yes, she has gone to England. No, she has never gone to England. So in this case, Andreita, never. The verb never changes. It's going to be always, my dear girl, in past participle. Okay? Sebas, we have to do the activity object. Sebas, no, I have already said, my dear boy, that the activity of yesterday, don't do it. We are going to do the activity of yesterday in the mid-session, so don't worry about that, okay? Sebas, Miguelón Quintana, I have never been in London. Excellent, Miguelón. Sophie says no question. Thank you, Miguelón, that you were the only one who answered one of the examples, so don't worry, my dear kids. We are then going to finish in here, and thank you for being in the class, my dear kids. Again, I'm sorry because I was not with you yesterday, but it's now we are in here in order to continue working, and thank you for your responsibility. See you tomorrow in the next class, and remember, the activity, the pages of yesterday are going to be answered in mid-class, so don't worry about them. You have to answer today the pages of today with this topic, that is present perfect with ever and never, okay? Ever in the question, never in the negative answers, and in the affirmative ideas, you can use yes, I have eaten, or I have usually eaten, yes, I have sometimes eaten, yes, I have once. Remember that once means one time. Yes, I have seen a horror movie twice. Okay, my dear kids? So thank you very much for being here. See you tomorrow in the next class. Take care of yourself, my dear kids, and do your activity, please. Love you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye.